Something broke today, not quietly, not politely, and definitely not in a way anyone in Washington is emotionally prepared to handle. We're not talking about a policy debate. We're talking about the Supreme Court agreeing to hear a case that could literally redefine who counts as an American permanently. Welcome to Why It's Trending Daily. I'm Hank, and this is where I break down the stories that everyone is suddenly Googling, and I explain to you why they matter. So here's the sitch. Trump signed an executive order on day one of his second term that basically said, if your parents aren't citizens or green card holders, your newborn isn't a citizen either. That's not a tweak, that is not a reform, that is rewriting the 14th Amendment with the confidence of a man filling out a DoorDash order. Now, lower courts immediately blocked it because, yeah, of course they did. One judge even went as far as calling it blatantly unconstitutional, which is legal code for how in the hell did this even land on my desk. But the Supreme Court didn't want to talk about the Constitution back then. They wanted to talk about nationwide injunctions. So once they got that technicality out of the way, guess what? The birthright citizenship fight came right back. And this time, the Supreme Court said, yeah, okay, we'll hear it. And that's when everyone's anxiety pills collectively rattled in unison. Because this isn't just immigration. This is identity, okay? This is what is an American with a live audience, a partisan scoreboard, and no safety net underneath the tightrope. So let's be clear here. For 150 years, this has been the simplest rule in all of American law. You're born here, then you're a citizen. Period. That's it. That's the end of discussion. That's the whole thing. Even the IRS understands it, and the IRS doesn't understand anything. But Trump's legal team is saying the 14th Amendment was never meant to apply to immigrants or visa holders or anyone whose parents weren't already citizens. It's a fringe theory that's lived in the basement for a century and suddenly got invited upstairs for cocktails. And now the Supreme Court is deciding whether the idea gets a seat at the grown-ups table. Well, if the court agrees with Trump on this, tens of thousands of babies every year become stateless. Not undocumented, but stateless, as in not citizens of any country. No access to Medicaid, no access to programs for newborns in the ICU, no automatic access to passports, education benefits, or a ton of different state services. Imagine explaining to your toddler, honey, you were born in the US, you live in the US, you speak only English, but legally you're from nowhere. It sounds like a piece of dystopian fiction, but here we are. It's literally the oral argument material for spring of 2026. And here's the part nobody is talking about and absolutely should be. If the definition of citizenship changes, everything else becomes a political land grab. We're talking voting rights, census counts, district representation, social programs, military eligibility. Imagine a state realizing it can instantly lower its immigrant population numbers by reclassifying infants. It would be the biggest political cheat code since gerrymandering. And once one state does it, well, you're gonna see a wave of copycats faster than those on TikTok trends, okay? It's gonna move quick. And meanwhile, conservatives are framing this as restoring original intent. Liberals are calling it catastrophic constitutional vandalism. And the Supreme Court, bless their cold marble hearts, are acting like the country isn't sitting on a powder keg covered in gasoline right now. But here is where this gets somehow even crazier. The justices aren't just deciding the citizenship of future generations here. They're deciding their own political legacy, right? This will be the case that they are remembered for forever. Not guns, not abortion, not executive power. This. Who counts as an American? If they were to side with Trump, the fallout is almost unimaginable. There will be lawsuits and protests, international condemnation, and a bureaucratic nightmare that even Kafka would say is a little much. Now, if they strike it down, Trump will say the court is blocking the will of the people, and his base will turn this into a 24/7 rally chant by dinner time. Either way, no one leaves this clean. No one leaves this calm. And no one pretends this is a normal constitutional disagreement. Because once you redefine citizenship, you reshape the entire political chessboard. We're not debating immigration. We're debating reality. We're debating identity. We're debating whether the phrase born in the USA still means anything, or whether it gets its own asterisk moving forward. And of course, all of this is happening under a president who loves a constitutional showdown the way normal people love brunch. Arguments start in the spring, a ruling hits right before summer, and whichever way it goes, someone will declare democracy dead by lunchtime. That's how it works. So welcome to America's favorite reality show, where even citizenship has a plot twist now.